episode of the Millionaire Mentor Method podcast with me, your host, Krystal, also known as the most famous woman in the world. So today I want to do a real quick one for you guys to talk about something that's just been on my heart and on my mind for the last couple days, which is the benefits of going dark and also remembering that certain parts of your life can be thought of and looked at and planned as phases, and to try to keep in the forefront of our mind that many times in our lives, certain situations may be only just for a season, not forever. And because of certain things happening in my own personal life right now, I wanted to talk about this. And so first and foremost, going dark. And by going dark, I mean purposefully and consciously stopping using social media for a season in our lives in order to do a sprint. And I've utilized this tactic at least once seriously, where I did not look at social media, I did not post on social media, and social media did not exist to me for a period of about 6 months. And now looking back, 6 months is nothing. It flies by. But during that 6 months, it seemed like such a long time, but it really wasn't. And I got so much needed work done. I got soul searching done. I was able to reevaluate my life during that time. And actually, during that time, I was able to sit with myself and look at my options moving forward into my later 30s, and decided that I wanted to go back to school to get a medical degree in my later 30s. And without that going dark and just completely not, I also didn't really go out. I wasn't very social in real life either during that time, but that was willful and purposeful. And I really highly recommend to any of you out there who may feel stressed, overwhelmed, burnt out, any of those extremely modern problems that we all are experiencing on and off these days, to consider that something that might help you and remedy your stress and overwhelm is to take out one of the most time-consuming and draining tasks of your day, which is aimlessly scrolling through social media and feeling like you have to post all of your life and curate your life and Photoshop your pictures and put a filter on your pictures and all that stuff. Okay, it's different if you're, of course, a social media manager, right? Okay, I'm not talking about social media managers who that's part of your job, managing social media for other people. I mean, all of us who are doing this for personal reasons, or even, you know what, honestly, even sometimes, even if you own a business, or if you are a public figure, excuse me, my voice, by the way, is going out, so I'm squeaking. But if you're a public figure, if you're a musician, you're an artist, I'm a musician and artist and public speaker and all that, and own businesses and networking. But even through that, I decided to go dark for that season. And it was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. And I'm considering possibly doing it again, or possibly doing a sort of partial going dark. I recently moved. So I moved very far away from everybody that I grew up with pretty much. And I moved to Texas. And for me, that was sort of a physical going dark, because I needed so desperately to get away from all my distractions so that I could focus on this next sprint that I'm going to do in my work life. So I highly recommend this. It's so cleansing. Trust me, it's so freeing when you have more time in your day than you realized you had. One study showed that on average, we're spending around 2.5 hours on social media mindlessly scrolling. So I'm not talking about productive time researching or studying other people's social media posts so that we can post something for our business. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about mind-numbingly scrolling without a purpose. So 2.5 hours, and of course it varies by age. So millennials are somewhere around 2.5 hours, and the younger you go, the more time you typically spend on social media. With teenagers, a lot of them coming in at an astronomical amount of time, up to 8 to 9 hours a day on social media, which to me is like, wow. I mean, I really cannot imagine actually what that life would even look like. Thank God when I was in high school, and younger, we didn't have all this stuff. We didn't have TikTok, thank God. But the second part of this quick podcast is, and I mentioned it earlier, of course, but to just remember that certain times in our life is not forever. It's not for the rest of our life. And this has just been really on my heart and on my mind. And I just wanted to share it with you guys because you're my family, you're my community that I'm building, and I love you all. And I had to remind myself recently that this phase in my life that I'm going through right now is temporary. And of course, everything is temporary. And, you know, it's not that anything bad is happening. It's not that sometimes it doesn't have to be something bad that's happening for you to have to remember that it's only for a season. It may just be a time in your life where you really have to take a step back from being super social, or maybe you have to take a step back from the dating scene, or maybe you have to take a step back from spending so much time with family, or whatever it is that you have to do. Just remember that not everything is permanent. And this reminds me of I believe it was Eckhart Tolle. I don't know how to say his name. I need to learn how to say his name. Eckhart Tolle. That reminds us that when we say things like, this is just life, or this is my life, or getting into the habit of kind of jumping to conclusions about how bad your life is, or how depressing your life is, or any of that stuff, to just remember that whatever thing is depressing you or stressing you out or overwhelming you, it's not your life. That's not your life. That's just your current temporary life situation. It's not your life. It's not your entire life. So I really hope you guys just think about this, and if there's anything that you feel is stressing you out or isn't the greatest in your life, or a change that you want to make, or thinking of something that you wish was different in your life, or maybe many things in your life or your whole life, to just remember that take a step back, go dark, get off that social media, get off our screens, go take some walks in nature, reconnect with yourself, and remember that your life situation, your current life situation, whether it's good or bad, is only temporary, and it's only for a season, and you're going to get through it. All right, guys, take care, and remember, each one teach one.
The information provided in this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only and should not be construed as financial advice, investment advice, or medical advice. The host is not a financial advisor nor a medical doctor or licensed therapist. Any financial or medical decisions made based on the information in this podcast are made at the listener's own risk. It is recommended that listeners consult with licensed professionals such as CPAs, financial advisors, and licensed physicians before making any investment or medical decisions. The host and creators of this podcast accept no responsibility or liability for any loss or damages incurred as a result of the information provided in this podcast.